Guns of Navarone by Alistair MacLean. Prelude, Sunday, 0100 to 0900 hours. I can hear them, the group captain said softly. I can hear them coming in. 5 minutes, no more. No wind tonight. Come on, let's meet them in the interrogation room. He turned abruptly, strode off towards the squat buildings that loomed vaguely against the pale darkness that topped the level horizon. Mallory shrugged, then followed on more slowly, step for step, the third member of the group, a broad, stocky figure with a very pronounced roll in his gait. Their footsteps crunched in companionable unison over the hard-packed sand, rang sharply as they moved onto the concrete of the runway. The hurrying figure of the group captain was already almost lost to sight. Mallory took a deep breath and turned suddenly towards Jensen. "Look, sir, just what is all this? What's all the flap, all the secrecy about?" "Patience, laddie, patience," said Captain James Jensen. As the brilliantly successful chief of operations of the subversive operation executive in Cairo, intrigue, deception, imitation, disguise were the breath of life to him. Both men screwed up their eyes in automatic reflex as the fierce glare of the landing lights struck at them, the flare path arrowing off into the outer darkness. In less than a minute the first bomber was down, heavily, awkwardly, taxiing to a standstill just beside them. The grey camouflage paint of the after fuselage and the tailplanes was riddled with bullet and cannon shells. An aileron was shredded and the port outer engine out of commission, saturated in oil. The cabin perspex was shattered and starred in a dozen places. For a long time Jensen stared at the holes and scars of the damaged machine, then shook his head and looked away. The interrogation room, harshly lit by two powerful unshaded lights, was uncomfortable and airless. The group captain, flanked by Jensen and Mallory, was sitting behind an unvarnished deal table when the door opened abruptly and the first of the flying crews entered. They were led by a dark-haired, thick-set pilot, trailing helmet and flying suit in his left hand. He had an Anzac bush helmet crushed on the back of his head and the word Australia emblazoned in white across each khaki shoulder. Scowling, wordlessly and without permission, he sat down in front of them, produced a pack of cigarettes. Mallory looked furtively at the group captain. The group captain just looked resigned. "Gentlemen, this is Squadron Leader Torrance. He led tonight's attack on Navarone. Bill, these gentlemen here, Captain Jensen of the Royal Navy, Captain Mallory of the Long Range Desert Group, have a very special interest in Navarone. How do things go tonight?" Navarone, so that's why I'm here tonight, Mallory thought. Everyone who had served any time at all in the eastern Mediterranean knew of Navarone. A grim, impregnable iron fortress off the coast of Turkey, heavily defended by, it was thought, a mixed garrison of Germans and Italians, one of the few Aegean islands on which the Allies had been unable to establish a mission. Torrance was speaking, the slow drawl heavy with controlled anger. "Bloody awful, sir. A fair cow it was, a real suicide do." He broke off abruptly, stared moodily with compressed lips through his own drifting tobacco smoke. "That cliff overhang shuts the target clean off. They've got every second AA gun in the south of Europe concentrated along this narrow 50-degree vector, the only way you can approach the target, or anywhere near the target. Russ and Conroy were belted good and proper on the way in, didn't even get halfway towards the harbour. They never had a chance." I know, the group captain nodded heavily. "We heard. And McIlvain ditched just north of Alex." "Yeah, but he'll be all right. The old crate was still awash when we passed over. The big dinghy was out and it was as smooth as a mill pond. He'll be all right," Torrance repeated. The group captain nodded again. Jensen looked across at the burly Australian. "You don't fancy going back there again?" "Too bloody right I don't," Torrance growled. "I don't believe in sacrificing good blokes for nothing. I can't do the impossible." "Thank you, Squadron Leader, and all of you." Jensen was on his feet. "I know you've done your very best. No one could have done more. And I'm sorry." "Group Captain?" "Right with you, gentlemen." He nodded to the bespectacled intelligence officer who had been sitting behind them to take his place, led the way out through a side door and into his own quarters. The Group Captain brought some glasses. "If anyone could have done tonight's job..."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?